For 16 years, we've been building a site that's been called innovative, insightful, and informative. Now there's a new name for it. We're now NBCnews.com.
This is the brother.
The two hitmen had confessed, admitting to killing Ben Novak Jr. They claimed Ben's wife Narcy and her brother paid them to do it. But still no charges had been filed as police continued to investigate. And then the hitman, Alejandro Garcia, dropped a bombshell. He claimed he also killed someone else on orders from Narcy and her brother almost a year earlier, and he'd gotten away with it. The murder for hire? None other than Ben Novak's 87-year-old mother, Bernice. The one-time queen of the Fontainebleau died 3 months before Ben in what Florida cops and the medical examiner ruled was an accidental death, a slip and fall getting out of her car.
How's he kill her?
He had a monkey wrench, and he took what appeared to be a baseball swing and hit her several times in the head.
Garcia said he got paid $600 for the job. But why kill Ben's 87-year-old mother? Because in Ben's will, in place at the time, if he died first, his mother, not his wife Narcy, would be the primary beneficiary. But with Bernice dead, there was nothing standing in Narcy's way.
Had they not tried to kill Ben and succeeded in killing Ben, they would have probably never been caught.
And there was more. When detectives arrested Garcia, they learned that still a third murder might be in the works. Someone else provided for in the will, Narcy's daughter, May.
She was in serious peril.
And I always believed that she was. I just couldn't prove it to anybody. But when we sat down with Alejandro Garcia and learned that there was a hit out on May, that became concerning.
A battered photo of May was found in Garcia, the confessed hitman's wallet. He was told she'd be the next job. Well, May freaked. She needed to move apartments ASAP and told federal prosecutors she didn't have the money. The feds told her they'd get her the money, but the paperwork would take time. Detective Allison Carpentier didn't think there was time.
And here came a moment of big moral dilemma, ethical dilemma for you as a person and an officer.
Yes, it was hard.
What did you decide to do?
I decided to give her the money and tell her to move.
Your money, from your bank account?
Yes.
The Westchester detective loaned May $5,000 of her own money. May promised to pay her back. When prosecutors learned of it, they removed Detective Carpentier from the case. The defense, they admonished her, would call it buying witness testimony.
I said I can't sleep at night knowing that if I wake up tomorrow morning, something happens to May and her children, and I did nothing.
I am very grateful to her, because if I didn't move when I did, I wouldn't be here today.
Almost a year after Ben's murder, Narcy was indicted. She and her brother Cristobal were charged with racketeering and conspiracy for 2 murders, witness tampering, and a host of other charges.
The plot that led to the death of Ben Novak was a family affair.
When the trial got underway in federal court, Garcia, the hitman, testified in ice-cold detail how he killed Ben Novak Jr.
So how did they get into the room?
Narcy opened the door and let them in.
Prosecutors argued that morning there was a small window of opportunity for Narcy to let the hitman in and direct the assault on her sleeping husband.
The victim is in bed. They get right in position. They signal 1, 2, 3, and then boom, then the assault starts.
And they're banging him in the head.
Yeah, they hit him all over the head. They hit him in the ribs. Brutally.
The 2 hitmen used small hand weights to pummel Ben. Narcy looked on.
Then there is a point in time where I guess he's making sounds, moans, and she tosses a pillow in to keep him quiet.
Do they say that Narcy tells them to cut out his eyes?
She did.
At mid-trial, the case against Narcy's brother was solid. A long trail of wire transfers, credit card receipts, and cell phone records connected him to the hitman. But for Narcy, it was primarily the hitman's word against hers, until the jury heard about Narcy's secret cell phone. On the morning of the murder, Garcia testified that Narcy called her brother while they waited at a gas station near the hotel.
Narcy makes a call from that phone at 6:39 in the morning to say, come on in,
Coast is clear.
Coast is clear. That becomes huge because it's her calling Cristobal to say, bring the killers in.
And it puts her right at the top of the plot, the conspiracy.
Yes.
And there's yet another twist here. Would you be surprised to learn that there was another woman in this story? A person named Rebecca Bliss. A South Florida tattoo artist and sometime porn actress was having an affair with Ben Jr. He put her up in a nice waterfront apartment and told Bliss he was going to leave his wife for her. Narcy, the story goes, learned of the affair and called Bliss, saying, "If I can't have him, no one will." 6 months later, he was dead and without eyes to ever look at another woman.
This case was about money, and it was about Narcy not wanting to be replaced.
When defense attorney Howard Tanner put on his case, he zeroed in on the hitmen's credibility and their motivation in testifying. He also attacked their allegation that Narcy was in the room during the murder.
They themselves stated that they would do anything to help themselves. In my book, they would have been willing to lie.
Is Narcy in the room?
Absolutely not.
And how about the disturbing direction she allegedly gives him? Gouge his eyes out.
It just didn't happen.
The defense also suggested that Narcy's daughter May could have somehow been involved in the murder so she and her sons could inherit Ben's estate.
May Abad had Narcy Novak in her way. If Narcy Novak disappears, she takes and her children take under the will. Those are facts.
So that's the defense. Jurors consider who's going to get this money here. And it's not just Narcy Novak, it's the daughter here, May.
There was an incomplete investigation done in this case. I'm not claiming that anyone else committed this murder. The defense here is that Narcy Novak did not commit this murder.
Detectives concluded that May knew nothing about Ben's will till well after the murder.
I didn't even know that my name or the boys' names were in this will.
After a 9-week trial, Narcy and her brother were found guilty of racketeering and conspiracy in the death of Ben Novak Jr. and his mother Bernice. They were acquitted of only one charge involving the theft of Ben's diamond bracelet. For the crime the conspirators almost got away with, the murder of Bernice Novak, the conviction carried a mandatory life sentence for both.
The best part of it was that Bernice could finally rest in peace.
After the verdict, Narcy spoke by telephone with Dateline from prison. She says she would never have done anything to harm her husband Ben and was innocent of all the charges. Sergeant Terry Wilson and his team of detectives, the prosecutors, won their case with some big assists from May Abad. Now her mother is gone and will spend the rest of her life in prison.
She didn't see what she had in front of her. She had her daughter. She had 2 grandkids that totally loved her. And now she has nothing.
And greed and some amount of jealousy presumably is driving this, huh?
Absolutely. No matter what, I loved my mother. She was my mother. She had grandkids that adored her, that would have done anything for her. And they did. And she just threw it all away for money.
If you go to Miami Beach, the Fontainebleau is still there, all spruced up with a new lease on life. And May has a fresh new outlook on the rest of her life, too.
Come here, buddy.
A new little guy in her life, a 1-year-old son. She named him Ben, after the lost prince, the namesake he never got to meet.